Alright. On my end, it looks fine. I'm gonna grab a console to disassemble just so I have a little pile of parts I can use. This white one looks in good shape. Need to test to make sure camera's working stuff. Oh, what kind of layout did this person have? Okay, cameras work. So the idea is to have these as parts that I will use for the console I assemble. Yeah, it looks like the blah, blah, blah. Okay, microphone works. I always assume that everything else works. I fixed the Mario edition. I don't think I have fixed the Mario edition. I've pulled a bunch of them apart. A lot of the Mario editions I get just have the standard issues of just hinges are broken or the screens are just bad. Hmm. I'm actually not going to be able to use the white one with different screws. Yeah, I'll just grab different screws. Oh! Let me see. I'm going to have to look through my eBay history. I did pull apart all of the red ones, so most likely I just have it in my big pile of parts. I'll have to see if it springs to mind if I look at it again. Doesn't turn on. Okay, here it is. This was a PAL region. I'm pretty sure I disassembled all of the ones. I bet if I looked back at my past streams, I'd be able to see which one it was. But looking at that issue specifically, bottom screen flashes, doesn't turn on, quickly turns back off. That's usually a sign that the top screen is bad or that there's an issue with the top screen. Man, I would have to look through my... I'm actually going to look through my VOD. Now I'm really curious. I know that there was a console that I pulled apart recently that was reassembled incorrectly and that the top screen wasn't plugged in all the way. So it was creating that issue. But the problem was is the top screen wasn't, since the top screen wasn't plugged in all the way, the console thought that, well, there's something wrong. I wonder if it's this one. Oh no, that one's a top screen is toast. And then I disassembled it. That's a yellow one. So that means it must have been the day before that I did all of those red ones at once. It's an American one. And it's another American one, it looks like. Because I know I don't have many PAL region consoles that will stick out to me. Oh, here's a PAL. Hmm. Ah, well, I can't find it. I'm guessing that there was just an issue with the top screen. Whatever that might be. Oh no, that was the right one because the screw covers were in the wrong spot. Right. I'm invested in this now. Mm, yeah, I already have a power board that I'll stick with the new console, so I guess I can just plug this back in. The Wi-Fi board. Ba, ba, ba. Right. So these white consoles use a different screw set for the bottom shell. So despite me disassembling one of these to have a nice amount of parts to work on, it sort of, well, defeated the purpose. I think I can assemble two. I know I need to get new lenses on a few screens. Oh, hey now. I think really all I need is a couple black screws. Hmm. Ah, there we go. Okay, I have parts I can use. All I need to do is grab a couple more screws. Two black screws. Swap out for that. A power board screw. All I need is an outer card slot. Alright, let's see what screens I have available. I got a nice pile of labeled good screens. I think I was eyeballing this green one. Let me kind of sort them by color here. Green bottom, another green bottom. I have a blue bottom. So I have a blue top and a blue bottom. Another blue top. Here's a brown top and a brown bottom. Here's a green top. So it looks like I can assemble 3. Keep going here. Bottom, bottom, white top. Blue bottom. Okay, I have enough to assemble 4 consoles. Fantastic. I'd love to see it. All my other ones just need a little bit of work. Either I need a new screen lens. I need to clean under the lens. A lot of them I just have to trash, fortunately. So since blue is on the top of the pile, I'll start with a blue shell. Let me look at my clean shells here and see if I have one that's not too ghastly. That one's pretty bad. And I had to go with glossy plastic. Yeah, got a little bit of hard water on it from when I cleaned it. It's a bit annoying. And just see if it'll rub off a little easy. These blue ones I can be pretty harsh with. This one's in pretty good shape. Let me check here. I'll assemble my good ones first. This one had a sticker on it. This one's not bad either. Actually, I do grab my little container of distilled water. I can just give these top screens wipe down. I need to get some polish. I don't know if I have another syringe kicking around. Yeah, I do. Okay. It's a small one, but it'll work. I think this is one that had stickers on it as well. But not horrible, serviceable. Glossy plastic will just scratch, and it's not feeling good. It'll just, yeah, this one's actually in really good shape. Okay, put that shell right here for now. So what I need is an American motherboard. Grab from my shoebox of motherboards. A quick inspection here. Charge port's good. The little tiny plastic piece in there isn't broken off. The card slot looks good. All the pins are all nice in a row, unbent or broken. Power board looks good as well. I don't see any signs of rust, corrosion, or any other issue. Buttons look good. They all click nicely, and the rest assumes to be good. Let me pull up my information on this motherboard. I'm guessing probably just no known issues. That is a -30 board. U01A86F. This guy right here. No known issues. Okay. I am gonna do a quick test fit of the cables, all of the components that I intend to put in here, so I don't completely waste my time and figure out that something's faulty. So grab the motherboard or the touch screen. Touch screen is the one I'm least worried about because that one's really easy to get to. Off screen, however, not so much. This digitizer has a little blemish in it. Let me give this a closer inspection. See if I'm not just completely crazy here. I'm worried it's torn. Here are my tweezers. I don't know why they're over here. No, looks fine. Wonder what I was seeing then. I think it's just right here, this little piece of the ribbon cable. Okay, which is inconsequential. Cool. Get this all plugged in. I'll run my test software and see what happens. I will use one of these camera units. Give it a quick inspection. There's not really much I can determine from out here, but I don't think I've run across many camera issues unless the console was horribly rusted, which looks like this was from that white console I just pulled apart, so there shouldn't be any issues. I'll get a mic unit. I just have a pile of them right here because I haven't cleaned those up. Mic units I've also haven't come across any problems with. What I will need to do, that I just remembered, is I'll need to give everything a wipe down with IPA, all the ports. Especially the game card slot and the microphone port. Okay, and then this is the top screen I intend. This will also serve as sort of a final inspection before I actually use the parts. Just to make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm very critical when it comes to these screens. Okay. Sure that camera is off. Let me grab a charged battery. Console boots. I don't see anything wrong with either screen. Grab my R4 card. Carefully lift it up. Recognizes my R4 immediately. Very good. Use my scribbler application. And I guess I'll just have that obnoxious music. Let me just sort of do a quick little rundown of the touchscreen here. Yep, I see no issues. Usually when you run into a digitizer issue, you'll draw a straight line down and then for some reason your input will make it look like it goes blah, blah. That means there's like a dead spot somewhere in your digitizer. Usually around the edges, but usually a surefire sign that you need to replace it. Okay. Cameras and the microphone, and I think we're good to go. And I have no reason to believe either of these are faulty, so these should be pretty easy swaps, or pretty easy tests. La la la. Okay, microphone works. Don't have the shoulder buttons plugged in, so I'll have to do this manually. Hopefully, it's not a console I have to do the tutorial on. Should have kept my mouth shut. Now we gotta sit through Nintendo's brilliant tutorial. Alright, well, the front for the, what would that be? Front facing camera doesn't or works fine. Come on. Eh, yeah, both cameras work. Okay, I can put this fella together. That battery right there. Ah, yes. Wouldn't pop out because the R4 card was in there. I guess I can leave the bottom screen plugged in. I don't see any reason why I shouldn't. So, get this out of the way. I can also get this out of the way. Let's get this top screen assembled. Just like the top screen is the last thing you do, it ends up being the first thing you do when you come to reassemble. The hinge in. Ah, right. I'm going to reinforce the top screen ribbon cable with some Kapton tape. Almost forgot my most important step. Especially this one. It looks like this ribbon cable was hinged for whatever reason. I find that reinforcing this, it's very benign, but it gives me a lot of peace of mind when it comes to reassembling this, especially when I'm pulling the cable through the hinge. Especially there's a couple points on this ribbon cable that would very much benefit from being reinforced. Okay, I just gotta do some very careful arts and crafts. Using side cutters this close to the ribbon cable is always a way to make me nervous. Doesn't matter how many times I do this. I'm gonna cut some bulk off of this cable. Definitely the most important area I wanted to reinforce was right here at this first bend in the cable. That's where it rubs around on the top screen shell. I've seen tears there from completely vanilla consoles. And then there's also the point around where the Wi-Fi antenna and the microphone touch. But I've only seen it tear there when the console hinge was broken and people decide to... I guess I can grab an example. When the hinge right there breaks and then people decide to go, oh, isn't that interesting? And then completely destroy the ribbon cable in the hinge. Brings me pain when I see people do that. Like, no, you just destroyed that. All right. The Kapton tape job wasn't the best, but it's reinforced. A lot hardier. Will stand to a bit of abuse that I'll give it while feeding it through the ribbon, or feeding it through the hinge. And I'll line up my camera ribbon on the top screen ribbon. When lining it up, I like having the connectors for both the screen and the camera be the same. Not that shell, I need the other shell piece. Oh no, I do need this shell piece. Okay. Now the technique I've really liked using is the bobby pin. Been very reliable. Grab the end of the connectors, and then using the bobby pin, I can twist it. Feed the end of the bobby pin through the hinge, and then just very gently, just sort of working it through. This might take a little bit of time, but it's definitely worth it. Now, one of the problems with the Kapton tape is it does add a little bit of extra mass, and depending on how you cut the Kapton tape, it might cause difficulties going through the hinge, like the Kapton tape might get snagged on the shell. But I found that as long as you're gentle, the Kapton tape should prevent it from, or at least it will resist ripping. I have it through all the way. I just have to get the little hinge ring, I guess you could call it. Beside the ribbon. Ah, here we go. Okay. That camera ribbon usually makes it a little difficult because sometimes it pops off of the bobby pin and just sort of does its own thing. Okay, I have the ring on. Now I just have to unfurl the cable and it should just pop off nice and clean. And just inspecting it. There's a nice curl in the ribbon, like it is actually corkscrewing in there. Sometimes I've seen a couple of these consoles put back together where it's not corkscrewed, it's just pinched. So the screen, so this rectangular ribbon will go in and then squeeze, then pop out the other side, which obviously puts it at a very high risk of tearing just from the actuation of that stressed ribbon. Since this is good, I can carry on to the easier parts. The camera in, start feeding the microphone through, and then I can put that little plate on that should keep the camera from just flopping around while I'm doing stuff. Use that plastic pry tool just to get that mic rib or the mic cable in there nice and tight. Camera's in there, microphone's in there. I can seal this guy up. Put that around. Grab a top screen screw. Now I am sort of jumping ahead of myself here. I really want to feed or do this first, just so I'm done with the top screen ribbon cable and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Once I feed in the microphone and the Wi-Fi antenna cable, this part gets a little complicated. A little more complicated at least. So it's just sticking these connectors into the little slit, this bottom shell piece. Pull it through a little. And usually I need to sort of push this cable down because it's going to want to try and curl, make a circle where I kind of need it to be flat right here. So I have to kind of push it down so it can get into the hinge. This is also just a be very careful, don't try to force it sort of moment. Oh, okay. Top screen's snagging right there. Okay, top screen ribbon's in, the microphone's giving me a bit of a... Alright, just slid right in. Alright, there. So now I want to test out the... I want to get this hinge tested out and make sure I put the hinge in right. Now you can put these things in upside down, which creates really strange behavior. Let me get my more stout plastic pry tool. Just finding the right spot that this hinge will pop in. Should be right there. Hmm. Maybe I was a little too far back. There we go. Okay. So now a perk of having that camera and microphone installed is that everything won't just flop out. The top screen will, but the camera won't. I'm going to test the hinge. Snaps shut. Clicks into place. Yep, that's good. Now it's going to be routing microphone. Little grill pieces aren't super good condition, but you don't see these pieces. Now it's just kind of the tedious process of routing these cables. Oh, I can't see my camera battery. 41? Okay, I might be able to assemble one more console before my battery gets a little too low. Okay. Okay. All the speaker wires have been routed. So on the DSi XL, the speaker wire route above the top screen. On DSi's, they route underneath the screen. I've actually seen one of these XL consoles put together where somebody routed them under the screen. It's like, well, that's definitely somebody who put together DSi's, not XL's. It really made no difference, but and probably that routing would have been fine, but definitely wasn't intended. So whether or not it would have fit, you're kind of inviting unforeseen problems. Like if it creates additional stress on the top shell because it's not expecting two more additional wires going through that section. Or you run the risk of actually pinching the speaker cables and shearing them off. I'm just trying to feed the Wi-Fi antenna through. Usually it just sort of pops out, but this one might need a little bit of help. Yeah, there we go. And the Wi-Fi ribbon sits on top of the speaker cable. Ribbon, wire, it's not a ribbon cable. It routes around this corner and sort of goes along this little path. I kind of pull on the cable just to make sure it's nice and tight. I don't have to worry too much about having or needing too much slack for the Wi-Fi cable. The microphone that I need to worry about having enough slack. Okay, all of this is good. I have the little LED diffuser for the flash. That ready. A little double-sided piece of tape that's on there originally. Should have enough stick to hold it into place. But I'll get the camera module plugged in, put a little pressure on that double-sided tape. And that top shell went together perfectly. Love it. But didn't put my screws in there, so I do want to get these little pieces of tape off of these top screws. I think it'll make it a little more difficult for my glue to stick on. Okay, cool. Hinge feels good. Now I need to go on a search for buttons. Let me grab my little tackle box full of buttons. D-pad. Some of these buttons I might need to give a quick wipe down too. I don't really have a good way of cleaning these things. They're just a little too small to do by hand. Well, not that they're too small, just taking the time to clean each individual button just takes too much time. I'll just kind of clean them as needed. A button. B button. Select button. Start button. Power button. The Y button. One's got a bit of a goober on it. Y button. All of these buttons are keyed, so you can't put them in the wrong spot. X button, which is good because I would 100% put them in the wrong spot. Okay, grab my membranes here. The base button membrane. The D-pad membrane. I really don't think there's directionality to them, but call me superstitious. I've been having issues where the shells have been separating and I have not figured out what causes them. And power button membrane. Okay. So now I need to just reference how I route the microphone and Wi-Fi, as I don't remember off the top of my head. Thankfully, good old iFixit to the rescue. Should just save this image. Here it is. Okay, so black ribbon goes on top, underneath. Okay. I have to pull this kind of tight. Microphone one is really the one that gives me the most grief. I really wish they would have made it like a centimeter longer. Because the tighter I make it, the more stress I put on these top screen ribbon cables. And I would hate for that to be a point of failure. So I got that set in, so what I'm going to do is sort of test fit it to see if I have it tight enough. Okay, I do. Cool. And then the Wi-Fi cable, I'm not too... Oh, I put this in the wrong spot. It goes up one. I do have a little bit of slack, as long as I'm still nice and tight. The upper channel. Okay. Should be good. And the Wi-Fi cable comes right in behind it. Okay. And now, since there's usually a lot of finagling around here, I'll grab a piece of Kapton tape just to hold down these ribbons or these cables so they don't just pop out. Because they do. They're not in there very tightly. Just a little bit of friction between those pieces of plastic. And I like to put it right here. Especially as I begin manipulating the motherboard and trying to feed these cables through. There, I should keep them in place. Ooh, that's nice route job. Love it. Alright, now we're good to set this. Ooh, we are not good to set this motherboard in. I almost forgot about the little LEDs here. Little diffusers. Gonna clean the top of this diffuser because that is facing outside. Okay. Wipe down the top screen ribbon cable. A little bit of isopropyl alcohol because I've been manhandling them and get my skin oil off of the contacts. Okay. Then how I put in top screens, it's a little bit strange, but works. Connectors open. Okay, I have it partially seated, and then what I'll do is I'll push down, sort of pinching the shell and the top screen ribbon, latch it, and then it's seated. Okay. Seems to be seating correctly. Usually the camera will give me a little bit of grief. Got to kind of shove it in. That didn't seat all the way. Come on. Alright, that should be good. If I have any issues, I know where the problem will be. Pop in the microphone, get the proper Wi-Fi antenna onto the Wi-Fi card, plop it into its little clip right there. Get these power board main power into that little canal. Okay, I can start plopping in screws. Now there will be 3 black screws. Always back the screws out just a little bit until you feel it skip. You are screwing metal into plastic. Now this upper right motherboard screw is a silver one. I have seen a black one driven in there. It didn't harm the shell, but not a risk I want to take. And the bottom right screw is a black screw. The silver screw up here is the exact same screw as the power board screw, but I would find that to be, it is a fairly important screw. It helps support the charge slot. But if for some reason that screw ever goes missing, you can just take one off the power board. Should be fine. Obviously, you want to make sure you have enough screws around the D-pad so that it can properly support it and that you'll get good contact. Okay, all the screws are in. Start putting the back shell on. Plug in the shoulder cables. Cute little Lego style connectors. And then you might have to click the shoulder buttons in order to get this shell to seat. And usually pinch around the bottom to let those plastic clips clip in. Need to remove this water damage indicator sticker because it is tripped. Not because this console has water damage, it's because this shell was underwater. Nice, warm, soapy water. Shoulder buttons feel good. Okay, put in the rear shell screws and inspect how everything came together. Said previously that I've been having weird issues where the shell doesn't really sit together correctly. Haven't necessarily figured out why. It's obviously a fault of my own. Something went wrong in the disassembly procedure. Maybe I didn't route the microphone and Wi-Fi antenna correctly. Maybe something was wrong with the membrane that I put in for the face buttons or the D-pad. Okay, And the last one is the itty bitty outer cart slot screw. All right, all screws are in. A little bit separated, but I also have to remember these are like, they're very old consoles. I have to accept that there just might be some bowing just due to age. That feels good. Okay, well, let's see if I broke anything. Ah, look at that. That is a nice, good old DSi XL. Now, I did not clean off a battery cover. I usually do these separate because there are the little metal screws that are in there with their little retaining clips are a bit hard to deal with. And I don't want to submerge those screws underwater if I don't have to. Usually all I need to do is just wipe around the edges of this battery cover and it'll be fine. The inside shouldn't be bad at all. Get in there a little better. Then I'll get around the screws. Ooh, and yeah, this one's in good shape. Okay, I think I got all the finger goo out of there. Oh, is there a little finger goo on the shell? Actually, don't know what that is. Oh, Q-tip. Little white streak there. Not really sure the reason. Ooh. Okay. That is an assembled DSi XL. Turn it on one more time. Ah, beautiful. I will put this in my little area of further testing. I have 3 consoles in there now. Very exciting. Further testing means that I'll put it through its final paces, fill out the paperwork, and plop those little fellers on eBay. They will hopefully find a nice home for somebody. I should have enough time to assemble one more. I won't disassemble one this time. So I'll assemble that other blue one, which will go into the shell. I will have to grab screws this time. Okay, let me grab the screens. These two right here. I'm not sure why there's a 12 on the back of this screen. It is the OEM digitizer, so hey, this is another American. Let me grab an American board. Oh, what I do need to do is, before I forget, I need to represent it in my documents that I put this motherboard into this shell. So this shell is WW4529215888. And then these are the files that I keep with the consoles, where I'll put all my pictures, an eBay listing. Okay. All three consoles I have assembled are all in my documents. Let's grab this motherboard. Another American one. Let's give it a quick inspection. Ew. Ew, I wonder what that is in the card slot. A little bug, maybe. It's some type of petrified insect. I'm gonna get rid of it immediately so I don't accidentally drop it in the shell again or it wafts its way back in. Pins look okay. There's the one over there where that petrified insect was. That's not going to show up really well because I can't get the angle on it, but it's poking up a little higher than I would like. Could just be a piece of the insect. Yeah, I think it was just a piece of the insect. Okay, good. Okay, let's keep going here. Charge port looks good. I know the one thing I didn't do on that last board was clean out the charge slot. I'm losing it. Or clean out the card slot with some IPA. It didn't look that bad, so it's a pretty easy thing I can do from the exterior of the console. And then if the pins themselves need cleaning, I have means of doing that. And then I think I've already cleaned out this headphone jack, or at least the headphone jack was already really clean, so I don't need to go back over it. This one was a little gross, but my little 3.5 millimeter jack cleaner. All right. All the connectors are good. No issues with the face button. Everything else looks good. So let me again get this in my records here. Look at what I have written down for this motherboard, if anything. The shell is WW4176492229. This is a US motherboard. UL1E1ZW. E1ZW, there it is. No known issues. Fantastic. Okay, so I need to do a test fit on everything. I'm gonna have to retape that in. Go grab a little bit of double-sided tape. I don't have any just sitting right next to me. Oopsie. These things just, in particular, just fell out during cleaning. The adhesive didn't dry on them. Or they lost their tackiness once they fell off, but nothing a little bit of tape can't fix. So let me do a test fit on all the parts I intend to use. Grab a camera. One looks good. Ooh. Digitizer in. Okay. Grab another microphone. Put in the camera module. Okay. Get the top screen plugged in. All right. Grab a good charged battery. Oh, hello. Wow, that's most unusual. This is not the most, like, together. Wonder if the Wi-Fi module popped out. Just reseat it anyway. Sure, all of my power board connectors are set. I put this bottom LCD display. I don't think it's sat entirely. Should have been in far enough. Okay. Okay. That another go. Huh. I'm gonna try a different battery. All I ever did was charge these batteries. I didn't actually verify if they're working. I usually assume if they charge, they're fine. I'm gonna try a different Wi-Fi card. That is interesting. I need to tilt this camera just a touch. Usually try and do this before, but so full screens flash and shut off. So this motherboard behaving very strangely. I'm going to try a different top screen. If not, I'll reseat all the bottom screen cables. Nope, it's not a top screen issue. Huh. I know this console booted. I'll put back this is the Wi-Fi cable, or Wi-Fi connector that was with it. I'm just gonna reseat all the cables. At least all the boot essential ones. Just kind of look at it and see if anything sticks out. The LCD display for the bottom looks fine. So does the LCD backlight. Power board looks fine as well. If this doesn't work, I'll try swapping out the power board. If that doesn't work, I'm going to have to look into what might be causing this. Both screens flashing really doesn't give me any. Huh. That is most unusual. Not entirely sure what to make of that. Grab a new power board just to see if there's just some... which is over here. Power board's in a little worse shape, but... Okay, that's a different power board. It'd help if the battery is in there. Well, yeah, I don't know what to make of that. Let me look at my master sheet of notes. See if there's anything in there that might be able to point me into a direction. I don't think I've encountered anything like this. Yeah, I don't have anything related to this issue. I wonder what will happen if I put a charge to it. I did not mean to bump that. Huh, okay, well, I'll grab another motherboard. I am not entirely sure what to make of this. I'm gonna have to mark it as a problem. Let me just strip off all of the non-boot essential components. I'd really like to figure this out so I don't have to pitch this into a I don't know what's wrong with it bin. I might just have to reflow these connectors on the Wi-Fi card. I'm guaranteeing it's... My first hunch is that Wi-Fi card. There's something wrong with it because I'll inspect this ribbon cable, but I know it works because I've looked at it before. Okay, only the boot essential components are currently plugged in. That's curious. So it's one of these, it's either my microphone or my camera. Let me plug back in the original power board in better condition anyway. And then what I'm going to do is, well, first make sure it boots with this power board. Well, I'm glad I didn't accidentally damage one of these screens in my storage. That would have been a little disappointing. These were good LCD screens. These are good LCD screens, I should say. Okay, boots just fine. Known power board works. Let me at least inspect the screens before I keep troubleshooting here. Make sure there's no specs. Don't see any specs. Temperatures look good between them. Okay, so now let me plug in the camera. I'm suspecting it's the camera. I've never had a camera cause an issue like that. Well, I'm not going to clean it, but does that again, I'll clean it. Because if it's just like my finger goo on it causing that issue, I really didn't think the motherboard checks the cameras during boot. Yeah, the camera unit. That is really curious. So let me try cleaning this off just a little bit. Grab a new, see if that changes anything. It could also be my port, so I can't like completely throw that out. The problem is this ribbon cable looks fine. It's really clean. I can't really determine if there's anything wrong with the like actual like cameras themselves. Can't really determine that. We'll see if cleaning does anything. If not, I have to try another cable and see if that does anything, or try another camera unit. I can't rule out the possibility that it's the camera port on this motherboard. Huh, so that's interesting. So the camera isn't needed to boot the console. You can boot the console without the camera. But for the camera to cause a boot error like this, I wonder what exactly is going on for it to say, oh crap, and turn off. Because I was under the impression that it doesn't even do anything with this camera module until you actually boot up a camera app. So for it to actually turn it off like that, taking a closer look at my port on this motherboard, it looks fine. So let me grab a different camera module, just see if that changes anything. I don't really have any known good camera modules lying around because usually these things they either work or they don't. And usually when they don't, they're usually torn. Not, which is much different than screens, which screens can come with all flavors of problems. And you just can't determine their issues from the outside like you can the camera module. Okay, so yeah, it's something wrong with this camera module. I'm going to take a closer look at these pins I'm very intrigued. Put these back so I don't accidentally get them mixed up with stuff. These are known good parts, so I don't have to worry about them. Well, actually, I assume they're known good. I haven't had a Wi-Fi card actually die on me. So let's take a sneaky peeky at this ribbon. That's interesting. It looks just fine. Oh god. Yeah, I don't know. That's really curious. I will have to put this aside though, or I'll put a special note on it just to say that like causes an error in the boot. Oh, I may have run out of sticky notes. Ah, no, I got like 2 more. Eh, 5. Prevents boot. However, future me wishes to interpret that. Stick that over there for right now. Okay, so let's get back on track here. Put the microphone back in, put the put the digitizer back in. Okay, so let's give everything a testy test. Ah, I wonder if this was the one in the Nerf case. Let me grab it. It is a different color though, so probably not. I really wish I could resell this Nerf case, but it's pretty beat up. It's got chunks taken out of it. I think otherwise it's in... As long as I'm transparent with that, I wonder if anybody would be interested. But considering how much I'd have to mark it down to that damage, it probably wouldn't be worth shipping it. Anywho, grab my fat stylus, test the mic. Ba la la, ba la la, ba la la. Alright, we're getting no response from the mic. That could just be simply not plugged in all the way. I'll look at that later. Grab the camera. Thankfully, since this one already has pictures on it, I don't have to go through this stupid tutorial. Okay, that camera works. So does that one. Let me look at this microphone. So I know what can make it so the microphone doesn't respond is if there's crud in this little microphone port. Either it's causing it to short, telling the console, hey, there's a microphone plugged in, or which is my best guess. Not, I have a lot of these microphones that I can swap it with. Let me just slot in the R4 card right now. Well, no, I'll wait until I get this camera back, or I get the microphone verified. Because like the top screen, the microphone would be kind of a pain to swap over if I need to. DSi sounds. La 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 la. Yep, I'm not getting anything on the microphone. Let me swap out that unit. And just see if it is a microphone issue. None of these are verified because I don't bother testing each microphone because it's just wire. But I can't necessarily call these all junk. Let me do a little better job cleaning this mic port. Just maybe give the 3.5 millimeter. I am gonna plug in this first microphone again, just to make sure. I don't want to accidentally put this in my garbage part pile if it's actually fine. It was just that mic port that was bad. Or not bad, but dirty. Da la la. Nothing. Okay. Grab another unit then. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I have this problem on a couple other motherboards where it doesn't really matter the mic, just no response. So I'm gonna have to put that in that pile and figure out what's going on with those motherboards, because as far as I'm concerned, I have no idea. I'll try one more microphone just for the hell of it, but again, these microphones are just wire. It would be very strange for them to go bad. Especially me just randomly grabbing microphones out of my pile of disassembled consoles, which a lot of them were in very good shape. So unless kids are jamming like sewing needles into their little microphone port, like popping them. The only thing I can do is get a verified good mic and test it. Right now these are all just unknowns. It's not impossible that all these are just damaged from abuse. They look fine. Yada yada yada. Nothing. Just a flat line. So I'm gonna have to look into this motherboard. Or I'll have to put this motherboard aside, label it as microphone issue. Well, and maybe get a known good mic to test it against. Right now, I'm going to have to strip this motherboard down, mark it as faulty. That sucks. I'm going to have to represent that in my documentation. And since my camera is about to die, I'm going to need to call this good for now. I'll reassemble this off screen, but it'll be the same process. I'll just grab another known good motherboard and give it another go. Reassemble it the same way I did that other blue one.